So once the Constitution was drafted, they had to have a supermajority of 9 of the 13 states in order for the Constitution to actually override the Articles of Confederation. Each state had a special convention to debate and then vote on ratification of the Constitution. And then from these conventions, our first two political parties formed, the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists. So Federalists included George Washington, Hamilton, John Adams. They favored a very, very strong federal government and weak state governments. Remember how ineffective the Articles of Confederation were and how weak that government was. They ultimately supported the Constitution. They did not see a need for the Bill of Rights, and they wrote the Federalist Papers to support their views. Why didn't they see a need for the Bill of Rights? Because the Constitution says exactly what the government can do. So if it's not included in the Constitution, therefore it gets left to the states. So they felt like the Bill of Rights was redundant and it wasn't necessary to spell out what belonged to the states and the people. Anti-Federalists included Thomas Jefferson. They favored a very, very weak federal government and strong state governments. They feared the Constitution gave way too much power to the federal governments. They wanted a Bill of Rights, and that they thought the president would turn into a tyrant like King George. You got to remember that these 13 colonies did not really have unified governments whatsoever. They were used to running their own shows. And to then come in and have a constitution with one country with strong federal government made them think of the British, made them think of the king, and they weren't really fans of that. So in order to get the Constitution ratified in 9 of 13 states, Federalists promised to add a Bill of Rights if the Anti-Federalists agreed to support the Constitution. 9th and 10th Amendments addressed the concerns of the Anti-Federalists.